Madam Premier, colleague ministers, ladies and gentlemen of the media, good afternoon. I want to acknowledge the remarks of my colleague, the Minister of Public Works, speaking to some of the job-creating elements that our respective ministries necessarily normally generate. And in the few minutes allotted to myself to speak to some of the initiatives within government estates and information services, I will highlight some of the initiatives in the ministry that speak to the supporting of renewed prosperity in our island. Certainly under the government's asset management strategy for the government's operational and non-operational buildings and lands, your government will be issuing requests for proposals that speak to exciting and major construction and reconstruction programs and projects for the old Hamilton Police Station, which is just to our right on Parliament Street, the Marsh Folly project, the Marsh Folly plant, which Minister of Public Works Weeks just mentioned, but in our case it's the plant. Thirdly, the old Cottage Hospital in Happy Valley. In time, 81 Court Street, which is located just to my left, which is the site and home of the Supreme Court No. 3 and the former premises of the Youth and Sports Building, but it's a large quadrangle. The footprints of these buildings and sites that I've mentioned are major, as I've indicated. The approach is to use the public-private partnership funding models to fund these projects and to put out in the request for proposals invitations to developers to come on board and develop. First, the government will set out its stall and its requirement needs for these sites. The developers, of course, will have the opportunity to integrate their needs too, so that it is a financially viable operation. And then we will select in the RFP process the most suitable and attractive proposal. Of course, you can imagine that these proposals speak directly to job creation on major sites and will impact our construction industry, an industry which, of course, contributes to the GDP, employment, and so it does speak, I think, importantly, to renewing prosperity in our country. We seek to do this in ways which do not have unintended consequences of dampening down the economy, and so there will be both mixed use. In the case of Marsh Folly, I'm happy to disclose that on that kind of use, it is intended to make the RFP speak to government office space. And housing, one of our ministries there. We have an obligation in a country where we spend $12 million annually on rents. We have an obligation and a responsibility to effect cost savings in that space. Of course, we don't want to empty from commercial rents in a way that's negative, and so hence the mixed use. I mentioned the Happy Valley site, which is the old hospital, and you may well think that the use there would be suitable for healthcare clinical options. And I want to assure you that we've received strong inquiries about these sites, and so the RFP process will, I am confident, be responded to by developers once we issue these requests for proposals. Now, during the next year, and in a linked program to support renewed prosperity for our government, the government will continue an already commenced initiative of the modernization of our charities legislation. And in a add-on and in a value added, may I indicate too, that the government will, in collaboration with the charities sector, collaborate on a national declaration of principles. Now, the declaration of principles will set out the government's stall of our priority social agenda needs. We will invite the charitable sector to participate in the declaration of principles, In exchange for doing so, the normal attractions of having charitable status will obtain. They include exemptions from payroll tax, exemptions from land transfer and land purchase tax, and of course the power to go to the public and go to corporations and solicit funds so that they build up their aims. We're very excited about this, and we believe that this initiative will speak to the renewing of prosperity in our country. In wrapping up, within the Ministry of Government Estates and Information Services, and specifically under Information Services, there is a wonderful initiative within the government e-government department to replace the government portal. It has served us well. It is located at www.gov.bm. The intention is to replace it with a more modern software program to improve the content management with this software and to increase your capacity, members of the public's ability, to access the government online, utilizing what has become a modern utility in our country, which is the use of applications and mobiles and all of these technology machines that we use in our everyday lives. This is an important initiative to stabilize the e-government portal, and I'm very pleased to commend this to you as an initiative by the government that shows that we are solution-solving, a problem-solving government with solutions that make sense as we make steady progress. Finally, may I just mention the Technology at Your Services initiative. This is, again, another initiative of problem-solving. It is very simple. We intend to consolidate voice and data networks that will unify the government's telephony systems. This will eliminate the need in many cases for desktop telephones, and it will improve the government's internal and external communications. And so this is going to be cost savings effective, but technology will be used in a way that it ought to be. That is to affect efficiencies in the government platform of telephony. I mentioned a few highlights. I'm pleased to accept questions both at the conclusion of this or at the press conference, as my colleagues have indicated. Thank you.